Hello and welcome to The Bike Show. It's a show of legends this week. First of all, our legendary traveller Donovan is on holiday again. But first, over my left shoulder, that is the legendary road. That is the 22 that runs from Sarby to Hazyview. Over my right shoulder, that is the Woodsman, the legendary venue in Sarby at the beginning of the 22. So with so many legends, we need a legendary bike. And we have one, the new Ducati Panigale V4S. And with a legendary bike, we need a legendary rider. But sadly, he wasn't available, so here's Matt Durrans.
This is some of the best biking country in the world. The roads of Mpumalanga around the town of Sarby are legendary, and for good reason. Although in places there are still some really bad pothole sections, there's more than enough decent tar for you and your bike to play to your heart's content. And I'm here to play on something truly special. Ducati has just released its new Panigale, and this time it really is a new bike. Gone are the iconic twin cylinders, and in their place is a V4.
Don first rode this bike at the Valencia track in Spain on the world launch, and he absolutely raved about this bike. And you know what? I trust him and I believe all the hype. So the bike has now arrived in South Africa, and obviously I thought, well, let's take it to a track. That's what you do with superbikes. But you know what? Since Don's already done that, I figured maybe we should show it some real-world roads, and let's see how it deals with a few bumps, some dodgy road surfaces. That should give it a proper workout.
Superbikes these days really are full-on race bikes made legal for the road. And though that means they're pretty devastating around a circuit, they can often be hard work on the types of roads we have in South Africa.
So yeah, 214 horsepower on bumpy roads. I'm a bit nervous, and when I first got on it, it was in race mode, and the throttle is just too eager and the suspension is too rock hard. It was a bit intimidating, to be honest. So, being a responsible journalist and a coward, I've put it in street mode. The throttle response is much more manageable now. The power still seems to be there, but it's just easier to ride. And perhaps most important of all, as you go down through the different modes, the suspension is softened off as well, which is what you need here. And it's now super supple. It rides the bumps brilliantly, and it's actually, well, it's almost kind of soft and cuddly now. Well, soft and cuddly, a bit like the Hulk is soft and cuddly.
The headlines for the new Panigale seem quite reasonably, I suppose, to be concentrated around the engine. 214 horsepower is a big number after all, but for me, the most eye-opening feature of the bike, at least on roads like these, is the handling. To go quickly on a road that you don't really know, and with bumps and potholes forcing you to adjust your line at a moment's notice, you need a bike with some serious agility. The Panigale has this manoeuvrability at its disposal. Chopping and changing lines is no problem, and more importantly, takes no effort at all. That's the amazing thing about the handling. It feels as easy to ride as a bicycle, but a bicycle that's strapped to a cruise missile.
And the engine, well, you can tell they've been working on these things in MotoGP for a long time, because 1100 cc's of amazingness, it really is. Look, it doesn't have the outright grunt of the previous V-twin Panigales, really low in the range, but it's not far off. There is a noticeably more meaty mid-range than there is on an inline 4. And it feels quick all the way up to 8 grand. But then at 8,000 RPM or so, it really wakes up and there's another couple of thousand RPM of serious urge. And you think, holy moly, this is fast. And then you look down at the rev counter and you realise there's another 4,500 RPM to go. And if you use those, I don't know what to say really, it's borderline alarming.
This engine is what we were originally expecting when Ducati released the MotoGP replica demise RR back in 2007. That ended up being something of a disappointment, to be honest, but at least this new V4 more than makes up for it. The competition might point out that the Ducati has 10% more capacity than their 1-litre bikes, to which I could reply that there's nothing stopping them increasing their own capacity to try and help match what is a new performance benchmark.
It's a dream. It's an absolute dream. I've been riding Superbikes for a very long time, concentrate. And I have to tell you, okay, I haven't taken this to a track yet, but I'm pretty sure this is the best Superbike I've ever ridden on the road.
I think I should stop talking now because, well, I'm running out of superlatives. I think I'll just leave you with the sort of feelings the V4 can bring out in you, several times during each and every ride. Any bike that can make a grown man scream in delight has got to be a good thing. But are we getting a bit carried away here? To find out how far the game has moved on, I brought along another Ducati legend for comparison purposes. The 998S FE, or Final Edition, represents the pinnacle of Ducati's abilities in 2003.
There's also one thing that's very obvious, where the V4 is turning into a corner before you've even finished thinking properly about getting into that turn. You've got to be much more deliberate with this. Particularly when you've got to change the direction, you know, from one side right over to the other. Then you start to feel the extra effort involved to get it all done in time.
So, even though it's making about 70 fewer horses than the V4, it's actually a bit more tiring to ride quickly. Not that that makes it bad or anything. In fact, it still feels good a decade and a half after it was made. And that's testament to how amazing this bike really was back in 2003.
Now I'm gonna ride the bike I want to ride. A bike that has got an amazing engine, a bike that has got superb handling, and a bike that is so comfortable you could spend a week in the saddle without ever worrying about any aches and pains. Harry tested the Multi on last week's show, and to say he was full of hyperbole is a bit of an understatement. Everything he said about this bike is improved, significantly improved, and is now totally brilliant. And you know what? He's not bloody wrong, you know. The motor is, it's better. There feels like the numbers are similar, but just through the mid-range it does feel much, much more lively. By far the biggest improvement for me is the adaptive suspension. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't care. I don't care what you think. I'm an older gentleman, and I like a bit of comfort with my adrenaline. It's as simple as that.
So, the new Panigale is, quite simply, utterly fantastic. But then, so is the Multistrada. I'd love to have both in my garage, but let's be realistic and choose one. It's a no-brainer, really. I'd take the Multi because it's quite possibly the best all-round road bike on the planet. Having said that, the Panigale is now, quite probably, the best superbike that there is. You'd have to say Ducati is definitely on something of a roll at the moment.